sometimes like all you want to do is run. Hear me out, hear me out. If all the things you never show, there are the things I want to know. Secrets start in your heart to slow. But if you don't want to tell me now, I guess I'll never know. Losing almost all my energy. It's getting hard to talk to you, and I'm the only one who speaks. It's all the things you never show. There are the things I want to know. Secrets start in your heart to slow. But if you don't want to tell me now, I guess I'll never know. Here we go.
Okay, guys. Hey, happy Friday. TGIF, I suppose. Had to think of what day it was there for a minute. Anyways, I know I'm doing an earlier live, but I do have today off as well. I didn't do one yesterday, as you guys know. But anyway, so welcome. If you guys haven't hit that like and the share, please do so. So obviously we're going to be talking about Jack and Lily. And I'm also going to be talking just quickly about another case that I feel runs parallel that I'd like to start covering with it again, because I think it's really important that Jack and Lily's case, like I said, is very parallel to Sebastian Rogers' case out of Hendersonville, Tennessee. Anyways, glad you guys are here. So just prior to this, you guys, I was doing a Zoom with CBC News. So in a couple weeks, approximately, they're going to be doing an article, a big story on it. And it's for TV, radio, and of course, what I say, TV, radio, and what's the other one? TV, radio, I think podcasting or spot, like, you know, that stuff, I think it is. But anyways, bottom line is, I thought it was like, we'll see how it gets edited, of course, but I think that it's really important that people know about the true crime community and what it can do and how it can impact families. And, you know, for family members that do want to speak out or talk or, whoops. Hi, Miss Dog Lover. Hi, Miss Dog Lover. 36 months now. I know it's been a minute, eh? Miss Dog Lover. She's one of the top running people that have been a member of the channel for a long, long time. Good friend, and that out of the United Kingdom there as well. But yeah, so I think it's very important that that people have a space, and there's a space for the news, and there's a space for, of course, when cases are happening, RCMP, and then I think that there's a big space for the true crime community. It gives people like you guys a place to go to talk about cases. You know, maybe not all channels, but this channel, we like to consider it like a home, that you just respect each other's opinions, even if they differ and stuff like that. But you know, how I've watched the people grow together with Jack and Lily is beautiful. As you guys can kind of see beside me, is this is in honor of, I know it's hard to see, but of honor of Rachel McDonald. She's the one that's wrote the songs Come Home, Jack and Lily. I know it's hard to see on there, Come Home, Jack and Lily. So obviously, if you know Come Home, Jack and Lily, you'll know that I basically mimicked it, changed it, but mimicked it in honor of Jack and Lily. So I had that sitting behind or right here during the interview. Whoops, hold on. 1 sec. There we go. Okay, poop. Um, and again, Russia McDonald, she has done the Where Are You, Jack and Lily song as well, which is beautiful. And you guys know that forever, whoever sent in rocks and some different pictures of for Jack and Lily of some art that they've created and stuff like that, it will go into the video. When I put out the video, if yours got missed, then please let me know because I can always add to a video regardless, okay? Because there's people that have sent me stuff through some different ways, and I honestly just prefer through email so I can keep track of it versus Messenger, or Facebook groups and stuff like that. So if you have sent something in a sense, feel free to resend it to crimingshame@gmail.com, just so it's up at the forefront of my emails because I still have to go through them all and, put a video together. So obviously, got the little keychains, Jack and Lily, got the bracelets for Jack and Lily. So Jack and Lily obviously disappeared on May 2nd of 2025. 3 days ago, we hurdled the 4-month mark for Jack and Lily and still don't have any answers up until this point. So it's very important that you guys that are following the case, hit the like button, hit the share, keep it in the algorithm, keep the story going. Documents and articles help keep the story going on and stuff like that, and have channels that were talking about it before, bring it up again. So for me, always the fight is for the victims of a case first and foremost, and no matter what case I follow. And in this case, it's Jack and Lily. But before we get into Jack and Lily, you guys, just going to remind you, okay, so this case right here is Sebastian Rogers. He's the 15-year-old autistic, 16-year-old now. He's 16-year-old now, okay? So December 7th is his birthday. And so this December, he'll be 17. Now, he disappeared on February 25th of 2024, okay? And so it's been 18 months since Sebastian Rogers disappeared. Now, it's a very parallel case in a lot of ways. So we have Christopher Proudfoot, the stepdad. We have Katie Proudfoot, the biological mother. And then we have Seth Rogers, the biological father, that's been adamantly and diligently keeping his son's name out there. In fact, recently, he was standing in front of the, Hendersonville or whatever it was, police outlet there. And he was standing out there, I think, for days because he wants answers for his son. And this is a case where with Sebastian Rogers, they brought in the dogs right away. But what they didn't do in Jack and Lily's case and what they didn't do in Sebastian Rogers' case is that they didn't cordon it off and deem it as if it was a crime scene at the start. Instead, they let people walk everywhere, touch things, go into things. And then when they realized that Sebastian Rogers, that there was more intrigue and mystery into his case, then they couldn't really do too much about that because the crime scene was already contaminated and they didn't take the evidence that they could have preserved had there been some evidence, of course, in the home. But they brought in the cadaver dogs and they brought in the bloodhounds, the cadaver dogs, and I think, what are they called? Like Magno, something like, starts with the M, Magnowas or something like that. But anyways, so in this case, we know that there was some dogs brought in. But I remember in Jack and Lily's case, when they were talking about cadaver dogs, they said that it was an option that they were going to look into, right? So it's not like they said that they had cadaver dogs at the time. What they said was that it was something that they would look into, and I'm thinking that that would be cadaver dog specific. But anyways, so meanwhile, people like Jack and Lily's case, they're just act like they didn't cordon it off. They didn't make people go to the side as they put everybody so that they could, at least downgrade it. with the information as it came in. And so what happens? You lose all of that pertinent possible evidence that maybe could have been found had they actually cordoned off the area and preserved it just in case they needed to. So Sebastian Rogers' case, again, it's been 18 months and his dad still searching for answers. Now, again, it's one of those things. It's the same thing that's happening in this case, kind of happens in Sebastian Rogers' case, is that there's people that believe that Sebastian Rogers is no longer alive due to actions of possibly within the family, the house. And then there's other people that believe that he is still alive and that he is out there somewhere. Because when there's no answers, obviously you want to hope and pray for the best possible scenario, the best possible answer. But as time keeps going on and on, it's less likely that that those answers are out there. But there are stories, there are situations where they still are very plausible. And Seth Rogers, the father of Sebastian Rogers, absolutely believes that he wants to bring Sebastian Rogers back home and to him, believes that he is alive and out there still. What happened to Sebastian Rogers? Don't know. All the cameras that are in that area, and he lives in a rural area, so there's plenty of camera footage. And with all those cameras that are around and neighbors and houses, no sign of what happened to Sebastian Rogers, like he didn't even leave the place where he was putting his head down at night. Now, same. So now, so that's Sebastian Rogers. So I'm going to be covering that more because it's very parallel to the actions of what we see going on here. Katie Proudfoot, the mother, has definitely did what we would consider odd for a mother that her child goes missing and stuff like that. Christopher Proudfoot has gone online, sat on lives, lied about polygraph, taking a polygraph test when he didn't take one at the time, uses head games, plays on words. He thinks he's smarter than everybody else in the room, right? So same type of situation that I feel is going on in this particular case. Okay, so Jack and Lily, again, we don't have any answers. We don't know what the answers are. We can never out and outright accuse someone of doing something when they have not been charged. That would be, first of all, like defamation and malice to do that. Everything has to be that you can speculate in your opinion, talk about a case, go over the facts of the case and stuff like that. But we don't truly know what happened to Jack and Lily, besides what we're thinking inside our own heads or what we outwardly might want to say, allegedly, or in our own opinions, right? So today I'd like to go over the last document that's out there, read bits and pieces, but I really want to hear from you guys. And I want to, okay, and also in talking about those documents, so I offered up those documents to anyone that wanted those documents. Why? Because at the end of the day, I knew that Daniel Martell had those documents, and I also knew that he had shared them with DT, right? But in a video form. I know that Belinda got the documents because she wanted them. I wanted them, you know, and she kept reaching out and she got those documents gratefully. And all of us want to understand what those documents said in them, of course, because obviously the news came out with the information. Now, I want to make it very clear that the police wanted those documents sealed. And the reason why those documents are out there is because a lawyer, and I think that the lawyer is from the Canadian Press, that fought for the, Freedom of Information Act. And so even though the RCMP wanted these items sealed, documents, of course, because of the rights, they were able to be unsealed. And hopefully we'll see more in the future of them because, transparency is key. That's the bottom line. There's certain details that obviously they don't want out there, and I get it. if it's to do, distinctly with, of course, things that could, that only the person who knows, like in the Delphi case, right? Um, for instance, in the Delphi case, only the killer knows certain things, right? So you want to keep certain things, of course, but at the end of the day, you want as much transparency as possible. I do love the United States for the fact that we can watch trials all the time. Transparency to the public. I wish that Canada ran the same way like that, that we could literally watch the lives happen. And Delphi case was honestly a sad moment for all the years of watching that, following that case. And then the judge, it was closed. You could only go to it if you were literally there, right? And then stand in line for a spot. But, anyways, I just think that transparency is key. And seeing these documents and seeing your guys' thoughts about these documents. And so, again, I've offered these documents myself to anyone that wanted to have them. Apparently, document, the one that I'm going to be showing, seemed to have issues for some reason. When I counted the documents that Belinda gave me, there was a total of 13 of these documents. A lot of them are repetitive, but as like with any case, when these documents come out, there's more things sometimes added to them. Like other documents, as you guys have seen, with I think it was, what's that one called? Text Plus, and, the different stuff about digital data and all that different stuff. And, but usually a lot of the body of the statements will remain in there the same, or as the documents moved along, you'll see some more information. So anyways, again, so to those people that wanted the documents, again, I want the YouTube creators to be talking about it. I want you guys to be talking about it. I want you guys to be able to sift through the info just like anybody else. That's why it's important to me, because it's about Jack and Lily first and foremost, right? And obviously the information within there is about Jack and Lily. And so will it bring awareness when people are talking about the documents? Will it give you more insight to what we've seen, to what we read in those documents? Absolutely. It's important, right? For the sake of Jack and Lily and for answers. Hi, Jess. What's up? Didn't send blanket to forensics till after June. That one blows me away, to be honest with you. Well, there's certain things that blow me away, but were you saying something, Jess? Anyways, just everybody following right now, please again hit the like and the share for Jack and Lily. Thank you guys. Absolutely, David. Thank you guys all for being here. If Jack and Lily are in the woods, why aren't they searching? Every day that goes and destroys evidence. A lot started off the wrong foot in this case. RCMP messed up in my information, or in my opinion, sorry, and a lot of crucial information of evidence of day one. I personally agree. To what extent, I don't know, but I do definitely agree there. I really wish, if they think that they are in the woods, that they would go back to searching 2 lives missing. Honestly, I don't personally entertain the woods besides maybe this much. There's too many things to show that those children didn't enter the woods. That, again, just using all the information, using the words of Janie, of Daniel, of the search and rescue not being able to find anything. And then they come back in, just like Sebastian Rogers' case. They come back in and they find diddly squat again. To sit there and believe that Jack and Lily are in the woods is like besides the fact that they were randomly abducted by somebody in the woods, is the next lowest thing on my totem pole with Jack and Lily. You always have to leave an open mind for everything. But I think it's pretty clear that when you look at those woods, and why would the children take off? Some people are mentioning about, oh, well, if Daniel was yelling at the children, maybe they were hiding from the big bad wolf and stuff like that, and sorry, animals, Animals, for my personal opinion, absolutely not. Like 0% for animals, okay? 0%. Why? Because there would be blood, there would be DNA, there would be pieces of clothing that were ripped. These are two children, you know? So do you believe that two children managed to get attacked by what? Two bears at the same time? Or, you know, whatever people are thinking out there, you can think whatever you want. Animals have zero impact to me whatsoever. DNA and everything else that Jack and Lily was wearing and anything would have shown signs of something in those woods. With those searchers and everyone that was in those woods and the week that they spent in there, and then to go back to specific areas, especially down the pipeline and that, to me, that's absurd. Now, I do realize that Daniel from Drunk Turkey Show, that he showed a picture that was obviously sent to Daniel, from Daniel Martell, about bears on the property. And he made a comment about putting a wrench up on the door. Now, do I think it's odd for someone to put a wrench up on the door, that uses kind of like what we would say hillbilly tactics to, you know, kind of like duct tape fixes everything? No, not really to me. Not really. You know, my stepdad used to always use the wackiest things to fix something and stuff like that. So do I think that obviously bears, as shown in the picture, are out there? Um, Absolutely. But then I have questions about that, you know, because these kids were said to be supervised all the time, which we know is not true by their inconsistent statements, especially Malaya saying that the kids were known to wander. So you're going to tell me that you're going to let the kids out there to be unsupervised, and that they tend to wander when you know that there's bears in the area, and you're sleeping and stuff like that. Meanwhile, the kids have been able to sneak out of an open back door and stuff like that. Doesn't make sense, right? But now that there's cameras on the property of the Martell home, there's a couple things I do have to say about that. Why didn't anyone care about how that property looked prior to Jack and Lily going missing, and the death trap that home was, as it was, you know, is, right? With all that stuff that they could have hurt themselves on. But again, if the children, if there's bears or and different, of course, animals in the area, you know, you would never let those children go out by themselves alone, just knowing that they're out there. But as for the cameras, now you have cameras, so now you can show a picture of the bear, you know, absolutely, obviously. Of course, where you live, there's bound to be bears within that area for sure. But am I going to sit there and even take that with a grain of salt that the bears or something could have attacked those children? It's, to me, I think that is ridiculous. Okay. Again, we have to think logically, and we have to think about DNA, and that these articles of what the children were wearing, and there's two of them. There's not one, there's two of them. That might have a little bit more credibility, a little bit, if there was one, but two, definitely not. Jack didn't even like going into the woods at all. Well, he liked going into the woods, but he had to be carried, just like Janie said. Lily didn't really like bugs and insects, right? Again, in their story timeline, their story timeline consists of 9:40 to 10:01 of when all this would have transpired. Even Janie says in the documents that she has a hard time with the timeline. But anyways, we're going to get back into all that stuff. These are just my own personal thoughts, myself. We don't know what happened to Jack and Lily, but I'm telling you, if there's one thing that is certain, is what's happening in this case is not normal. Is there mystery behind it? Absolutely. Okay, this is not normal. Let's get our facts straight. This is not a normal, truthful case of what's going on. Kimberly, how many days till they touch grass again? Oh, I'm not sure what that comment was about. I know no bear got them. You know what? Again, everyone has their own thoughts and opinions on this case, and that's perfectly wonderful, to be honest with you, because it gives you a chance to think of, okay, well, was this plausible? Okay, let me look at this idea. Okay, let me think about that. So if we all thought the same, it would be pretty boring if we all thought the same. So it's definitely a good to always have, and that's when it's nice because like Charmaine's away, guys. And Kent is busy this week as well with a bunch of stuff. Something about car show, something, I don't know, something. But anyway, so pretty much any lives this week are me, or if I have a guest on, stuff like that. So now DT asked me if I wanted to join him on Saturday or Tuesday. Saturday I can't. Tomorrow I can't. I promised my sister from last week when I bailed on her that I was going to go see her tomorrow for sure. My sister's sold her house and is going to be moving. So anyways, I need to go visit her. And so Tuesday I work till 4 o'clock. My whole week next week is 8 to 4, Sunday through Thursday. And so I told him, yeah, like if it's like 5 o'clock, which I can't remember. I think he's 2 hours, maybe 3. Either way, that would be like 7 or 8 his time. I always forget his for some reason. Hi, Sunny. They should be concentrating more on Evo Malaya and less on Daniel. Well, no, I disagree. I think both of them need to get their stories straight. Not just one, but both. You know, like obviously there's 3 people on the property, but 2 people were in charge of Lily and Jack, and those 2 people have done weird, strange things. And again, if you're being truthful, then it's never, it doesn't get like this. It doesn't get like this if you're being truthful. So they let them go outside to get eaten by a bear. Now the bear gets the blame. Well, let me just put this. I don't care if I see a bear in that picture. It doesn't impact me one way or the other. So great, right? And I'm sure the neighbor beside you can show bears on their property. And that. Do I think that the bears had anything to do, or any animal had anything to do with Jack and Lily? Absolutely not. It's almost to the bordering of ludicrous. With DNA and all the evidence that would have been left, had 2 children been attacked, okay, there would have been blood everywhere. There would have been DNA, clothes pieces everywhere. Those children wouldn't have found in 20 minutes time. But now granted, don't forget, okay, is that 8 o'clock was set on the scanner radio. So we know that 8 o'clock plays a part into this because Malaya texted Belinda and told her that the children disappeared, that the last time that they were heard was between 8 and 8:30. I can't remember if it was heard or seen, the way that was worded. But then you can see that the time is unredacted. Well, why are the times unredacted? Do they not want us to see the 8 o'clock and the 9:40? Which we already know because Malaya sent on the 2nd as well that the children were last seen at 9:40. There's definitely a bunch of inconsistencies in their statements, for sure. Hi, Cheryl. How are you? Got my posters out at the elementary schools and CFS office today. That's cool. Thanks, everyone, for everyone that's been doing stuff to bring awareness to Jack and Lily, whether it's you hitting that share button and like button here, or whether it's that you're putting up signs and selling signs like Kent is and Janice, and doing a silent auction, I guess they're doing. That's going to be soon, I guess. I don't really know much about the auction besides when Kent talks about it. But again, it's going to be, I guess, a Facebook Live thing going on. And so hopefully that will turn out well. And but just for all the people that have put out their logs that they've done, with Jack and Lily's names, and with their posters that they're putting in their homes and everywhere. Jack and Lily deserve answers. They deserve answers. And again, the answers are somewhere. So what happened to Jack and Lily? So they don't know what they were wearing. So they go out with no clothes so the bear didn't have to leave any trace. Oh, no. It says in the article what they were wearing. But I also have another posting from Daniel talking about a certain Barbie top as well. So again, we'll get into that. I'll just go through some more. I know I'm probably really behind. Let's see. Oh no, I'm not too bad. If you do, you should have him on your channel. His mods delete everything and times out. Who is that? Yes, ma'am. Who are you referring to? If you do, you should have him on your. Who are you referring to? There are a lot. Uh, there are a lot saying that they have arrested. Well, we know that that's what is that like an AI video. Please, you guys, do not pay attention to AI videos. They are fabricated with a bunch of lies in them. All right. We only here to take the words and statements of the family members, whether they're truthful or not, and the RCMP. When it comes to talking about the case and the information, that part of it, but obviously, absolutely not. I mean, not going to lie, they would give us an answer probably if they were. Darlene, poor Meadow. Absolutely. The whole, at the end of the day, a ton of people have been impacted, of course, by this case, from family members to students, Charmaine's beautiful bench that they're going to be having at the school, but it's going to have a plaque on it called the Buddy Bench. But we know underneath that Buddy Bench are the words Jack and Lily. The whole point was, of course, is, give the children, a little piece of something. Even if it doesn't say the name Jack and Lily on it, I'm probably sure a lot of parents will tell their children what that bench is truly about, to be honest. And it's about remembering Jack and Lily, regardless, right? There's no conclusion to what happened to Jack and Lily, but so many people have done such amazing things, from paying for the shipping for the Buddy Bench, from Charmaine and Ian, making the Buddy Bench, from Kent, from where he started, with not even with just being a viewer of the channel, to where he is now and the stuff that he has done. I see Daphne's in the house. For people that have been working on their own timelines and trying to figure out the important details of the case and trying to make sense of it. You got to spell it right there. Sunny. I appreciate DC's fresh perspective, but I think he's just taking some heat off of Dan. Well, again, at the end of the day, whether you guys are DT, right? I asked him to take a look at this case, right? Because I wanted his input. Because I think of DT as, well, besides him being a really great guy, he likes to, do things a certain way and put information together. And not all of us are going to think the same way. I clearly do not think the same way that DT does, right? Again, I just think that it's good because we don't know what happened to Jack and Lily. It would be wrong if I said ignore what DT's saying or any other person, because it's important that you always keep an open mind to any still information that you might not have looked at a certain way. Now, again, I'm not here like Daniel and Janie are speaking up, and obviously let them find their home that makes them feel like they can speak and stuff like that. The opportunities that have been on this channel, because of the game playing, and stuff like that. And like I said, I'm not blind. Are you guys blind? Are you guys blind to what we've been watching for 4 months with Daniel and Malaya? No. And you know what? It's always food for thought, regardless. No matter what, I still appreciate, even if I roll my eyes at certain things. I'm sure people roll their eyes at me. That's okay. But I still just really like to take what I'm seeing, but what they're saying, right? What they are saying themselves. That's what's important. Because again, then we get these documents and that, oh, I, well, I mean, he was already on here the one time on there, but like I said, so possibly Tuesday he'll agree, then I'll go on his channel on there. But again, we definitely have different perspectives, but I want to say this, I absolutely respect and appreciate who DT is as a human and as a person. He does things for the most genuine purposes, and I love that in channels when you are literally not worried about how much money you're going to rake in off a thing and stuff like that, but you're just first and foremost you want to talk about the cases because they're interesting, and they're puzzle pieces and they're just interesting. If this case wasn't interesting to Drunk Turkey Daniel, then he wouldn't be covering it. But it is intriguing to him as well. Mm-hmm. The thing that I can say is that with this case, we have had the ability to watch this case from the start and to watch the different actions going on. But again, the bottom line is that I had sent DT over a bunch of stuff on top of his own stuff that he had collected, right? So granted, he might not have seen everything there is to see with this case, but he's not dumb, It's not like he's an idiot. He's taking the information that, and a lot of channels will do this more so, right? He's just taking the information and calling it how he's seeing it. And there's nothing wrong with that. Maybe his mindset will change at some point. Maybe it won't. Who knows? Bottom line is, we still all have, regardless, even if you're in DT's channel, we still have all our thoughts, that we use with all the information. So you take everything with a grain of salt, and then you use the information to what you want to, make out of the case, to be honest with you. I just like to stay in the words of what the family members are saying, even if they're lies, and what the RCMP is saying, and use the information that people tell us behind the scenes or on the lives and stuff like that. It's very useful. It gives Belinda a place to have her say whenever she wants to speak up about something. And it gives the community a place to hear her or other family members, like on, Hidden in the Fog, that had 3 of the interviews that she did on her channel. Even though they were unexpected interviews, they were still there and stuff like that. And like I mentioned on the last live, even with the extra information I have, it still doesn't lead me to answers for Jack and Lily. It's like a mind fuck. That's exactly what it feels like. Yeah. It's like when a narcissist comes into your brain and they spin it with so much crap that by the time you're done with that narcissist, they've left you confused. You don't even know if your own thoughts are your thoughts anymore and stuff like that. And you just feel like a big absolute BS game is being played. That's how it's felt like to me. Not always, but as time went on, absolutely. If it feels the same like that to you, then so be it. If not, but anyways, really, yeah. This channel won't put up with any rude comments to Chelsea, Belinda, and stuff like that. No way. Come on now. Like, especially to the voice, the person that has no stake in the game, that's been a voice for these children, yeah, that's wrong on every level. But there's people out there that will do it. You know, you guys know on this channel that those people, if I see it, they'll get blocked, you know, or at the mods. I love the info he gives. I don't dispute his view, but you can delete everything that doesn't fit your narrative and block people from speaking. What's the point of the live? Um, I think what you're saying is that there's a lot of people getting blocked over there. Is that what you guys are basically kind of saying? That if you go against the grain, you're getting blocked? Narcissists have a wonderful way of making you upset. Oh yeah, absolutely, right? Their total thing is a push pull, push pull. Oh, that's too bad. That's too bad. I don't mind blocking ignorant people, but I do feel like people will try to sit there and say, "Oh, she blocked me because of my opinion." No, I blocked you for how you spoke in the chat. I blocked you because the person was ignorant. I have no care in the world if somebody thinks that bears attack the children, that a freaking UFO came down or something, right? People have the right to express themselves. I just expect for it on this channel to be done in an adult like manner, right? I mean, I get it. Sometimes it's fun to poke a bear here and there, but um, I'm not here to waste my time on that stuff. That's why, if my block list gets back up again, well, again, you can speak and you can say a ton of different things to a creator and in chat without you being ignorant and really rude about it. And you can still get your point across. Okay. Oh well. Um, Maybe I'll mention that to DT if he doesn't see this live already on there. But I mean, every channel to their own. But I'll let him know you're expressing your opinion about that for sure. Because my mods know that if you're blocking people, just because you have an issue with them yourself, because you don't like what they're saying, that's a no-go, right? Now, I don't care if a mod doesn't like, if a mod is, if a person is ignorant and rude, different story. But if you just clearly don't like what they're saying and stuff like that, because it goes against what your thoughts are and stuff like that, no, I don't want the wrench to be used as a tool that gets abused. In a sense, I want people to express their thoughts, and they do not have to agree with the channels at all. Am I still going to say my piece because it's my channel? If I look at a comment and say my piece about it, sure. Why not? That's the whole point. No, because you're too busy working, Missy, and you don't have time for us. Charmaine's too busy making big bucks right now. Okay. Well, we're at 44 minutes into the live. I think, we've been discussing this. Now let's, I think we should get into the documents and then go through it, and then point things out. And then you guys can talk about certain things yourself. Okay. I think that's pretty fair. And again, thank you guys. Hi, Mama Angie, Sharon Parker. Love you, girl. Daphne, welcome, of course. Daphne has her own channel and follows this case religiously as well and puts out videos. Daphne, we thought it surely RCMP didn't exclude the neighbor, especially after he refused access. My thought is surely RCMP didn't exclude. No, of course not. I would like to think. Yeah. And of course, American Justice is in the house. Yeah. How are you doing? Are you still working hard right now over there? Yeah. No more lies. No more lies. I see you in different chats that I've been in. Um, hey, Mama. I've never been bullied. I've never bullied Belinda or Chelsea. I've never talked to Chelsea. Mm, yeah, everyone can disagree. It's when it's outright right attacking somebody. You know, like I said, there's a difference between disagreeing. Absolutely. Hmm. Exactly. Yes, ma'am. The neighborhood would have been on the red list. And I'm sure that he or she brought in for questioning. And that's when the 5 speed was mentioned. Um, Not sure that's exactly how it went. Um, Maybe. I mean, it was more said that a tip came in, right? That the tip came in. So I have to go back and look exactly about that stuff. But bottom line is the same person, the same neighbor that's down Lansdowne Station Road, won't say his name, anyways. Second house down Lansdowne Station Road, is the neighbor that Daniel says is the same person that put that post up about the 500 feet away and stuff like that. So those are Daniel's words, okay? And that's clearly been said in the chat, messenger chat. But anyway, so this is the same person that apparently, that possibly, allegedly, has that same type of record of thieving, that maybe that they felt, you know, was the neighbor that did something. Again, the neighbor has a sketchy past. Absolutely. You know, I'm sure there's quite a few people around that area that have a sketchy past. Um, the bottom line is it truthful? Is it truthful? Or is it somebody making it up? But you have to ask yourself, why would somebody, even if, why would somebody even bring attention to themselves and try to derail it, especially if they have 2 children of their own? Um, why would they do something to Jack and Lily? And what would be the motive for lying? Now, doesn't mean it can't be true, but why would you insert yourself and send it in a tip and then put your knowing full well, like to me, and again, it could be something, could be nothing. But if you know that you thieve property all the time, meaning the neighbor, if you know that you're a thief and you've made it with you and that other guy into the headlines, like on every newspaper out there and stuff like that, I mean, would you really want to bring attention to yourself? Or is it the fact that it's about the children? That because he has children and he might have tats everywhere and who cares, whatever. It's a matter of, is it truthful information? That becomes the gist of it, regardless. Is it truthful information? You know, what was the real reason he didn't let RCMP? Maybe at the time. I'm sure RCMP could have easily got a freaking warrant, but that was at the time that we heard of. But there's a lot of unredacted stuff in here, that obviously you guys can tell. But, anyways, okay. So, all I know is from the previous, Mama doesn't speak isn't a good sign. Look at the poor little uh, resume from PA. I'm not sure of that one. That was horrible. I don't know of that name. Okay. I'll take myself off screen and let's go through this document together, guys. And then once I read a little bit, I'll come back and see what you guys are saying. Okay. Okay. So I'm not going to go over this stuff, the boring stuff. Okay, so we know video recordings, etc. I want to get to the meat of this, which is their own statements for the most part, is what I want to get to. Just trying to see if I'm going to miss anything here. Make sure I'm not. Hold on. So this is, by the way, this is the PI 2025-117, the very last one of the documents. Okay, I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. Okay. Oh, and I want to ask you guys something quickly. People that live out in Nova Scotia. I want to ask you. Kent said he got a text message this morning that said that RCMP, a few vehicles had gone yesterday to Group Savoy, which is the place that Daniel and Justin and Ron and everybody works at. And that probably that whatever. I'm not sure if that Edmund guy that's in the documents does. Chance does. But did any of you guys as well hear about that in Nova Scotia, or people that heard of that? That the RCMP were there yesterday, a bunch of cars, as they were at the Group Savoy sawmill. Just curious if any of you guys had heard anything about that yourselves. If you're talking about me and there's no and. It's a matter of if you guys heard that. Right? Yeah. Well, because it came in through text, but I didn't actually ask Kent who it came from. He just had said that. So we'll just call that speculation. Well, obviously, if it's true and they're at the sawmill, they're obviously there for a reason, whether that's to talk with people again, searching, who knows? So what I'm saying is that Kent said that he received a text message this morning from someone, and I didn't actually ask who that someone was, but obviously probably I'm thinking someone in that area. But he said that the text said that there was RCMP cars yesterday at the Group Savoy sawmill. That's all he knows, and at the time that he told me, and that's all I know. I was just wondering if anyone else had heard that as well. That was especially that lives in that area. Or, just some people give news, right? There's lots of people that send messages. So just keep that as a, grain of salt at the moment until possibly we can hear more. Okay. So going back to the documents. Okay. I just thought I'd put that out there in case you guys did hear something. Okay. Now remember, I'm on a different page. I don't see the chat up until I let you know I can see the chat. Okay. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police is okay. So we know this, right? And believe that they were. Malaya Brooks reported Lily and Jack left the house and believed they wandered away from home. On June 26, 2025, Constable was provided with a USB. He gave the USB to Corporal Sandy, who determined an expectation of privacy existed. Okay. Copies of access of the records. Okay. Like I said, I don't really want to touch on the boring stuff because I've read a lot of documents over my time doing true crime, and some of it's just the typical stuff that has to be in documents. And to me, I just like to get to the meat of the bones of it. I'm a peace officer and been a member of RCMP since October 2011. I am a corporal with the Northeast Nova Major Crime Unit. Okay, so basically this person is obviously talking about their experience. Again, people that actually want the documents can email me and I will send you the documents if you don't have them. If you want to read some of these finer details. Okay. On May 2nd, 2025, 6-year-old Lily Sullivan and 4-year-old Jack Sullivan were reported missing from their house at 1407 Gairloch Road, Lansdowne Station, Nova Scotia. Lily was last seen by her mother, Malaya, and stepfather, Daniel, that morning, sometime blank, 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 when she came into their bedroom. Jack had not been seen since the night before. But Malaya and Daniel heard him playing in the house that morning during the same time frame. An extensive search involving ground and search rescue, air support, and underwater searches were conducted between May 2nd to May 9th and May 17th to May 19th of 2025, May 31st to June 1st, and June 19th, 2025, but was unsuccessful. Their whereabouts are still unknown. So, obviously, the only thing I take from this is that Malaya had never said she ever seen Lily, although I thought that would be kind of hard not to see Lily if she came in 3 times into the bedroom. That how does a mother not know that her daughter has come in the room 3 times? So that was only my only takeaway. So what does this one say? Daniel, that morning, sometime between blank and blank. That's probably, I wouldn't doubt, this is just guessing now. Sometime between 8 and 8:30, seen Lily when she came in their bedroom. Okay? That's probably what that says underneath there, in my opinion, for that. Doesn't mean it's true. But we've heard about the 8 o'clock on the scanner radio, so that time cannot just disappear. Then, of course, we have delayed disclosure because of the nature of blank, blank, blank. A records access order is being sought to review the blank, blank, blank. Okay. Let's see here. I believe the information provided in the blank could assist with locating the children by identifying further investigational avenues for police to pursue. Okay, just quickly here, was there anything else that stood out in that particular sentence at all? I just had taken away the fact of Malaya never ever used the word seen the children in anything that she spoke about. It was only just about heard. Right. And we're going to get all into that stuff. Absolutely. hmm That's true. Not yeah, not non members have a slow one, or else it would be ridiculous. Mm. Okay, taking a drink. Continuing on. Wait, do I have any? I don't want to have any. If you guys haven't hit the like and the share again, please do for Jack and Lily, and keep the awareness out there. Okay, so back to the document here. Okay, on May 16th. Oh wait, there have been 5 previous applications under the Missing Person Act, with 10 orders granted in total. On May 16th, 2025, I presented an application for a record access order for the cell phone records of Malaya Brooks Murray and Daniel Martell. I do wonder if that included burner phones. I do wonder about that. The authorization was granted by Justice of Peace Bruce McLaughlin of the Justice of the Peace Center in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. The order has been executed as a result, has been received and reviewed. On May 17th, I presented an application for the records access order for the school bus surveillance in that Gairloch Road. The authorization was granted, of course, for that. That order has been executed and the results have been reviewed. On May 23rd, I presented an application for the authorization. The order to be executed for which one? For records orders for blank, blank, blank. Right. That authorization granted. The results have been reviewed. Obviously, one of the other things that they're talking about, perhaps banks and those different things. On May 28th, 2025, I presented an application for record access order for video surveillance from the Cobequid Pass. The authorization was granted by the Justice of Peace, Darlene, blah, 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 blah. The order had been executed. The last one was on June 25th. I presented an application for records. Okay, these are the banking records, okay. Records for, maybe the other one was the cellular stuff, perhaps. About where they get their cellular stuff. Banking records. The authorizations were granted by Justice of the Peace, Darlene. That order was executed. Oh, wait, on July 4th, I presented, I guess there's another one, for the Text Plus information. The authorization was granted. And this is what I'm saying. Documents start getting added to the file. We're on the last file. So we're at a point where they're talking about all the different documentation. Definitions, yeah. Motor vehicles, yeah. Okay, yeah. Okay, basically that they've just relied on that information to look at that information, right? And obviously you guys can see all the names of the people that either are still involved or were involved. Okay, let's see here. On May 2nd, initial dispatch. It would be really nice, wouldn't it? Be here that 911 call. That would be great. On May 2nd, 2025, the Pictou County received a dispatch, reported the children missing. Malaya reported her children, Lily and Jack, missing. That Lily and Jack may have left the residence. I like how they said that they may have left the residence too, but you guys remember this distinctly in the dispatch. They said they were 100% positive that they never crossed the road. But that was one thing that they did say, that they were 100% positive that they didn't cross the road. How would they know? They're missing. How would they know what they did or didn't do? Because apparently they didn't do certain things, but they did them here on this particular day. Said that they were both possibly autistic and were known to wander. She said the boots were gone. Malaya reported them missing at 10:01 a.m. The dispatch information reported police arrived at 10:27 a.m. Janie McKenzie provided statements to the police on May 2nd and May 5th. The following is a summary of what she said. So we're going to go through Janie's here, and then I'm going to come back to you guys after we go through Janie's, and we're going to talk about Janie's statements. So Janie McKenzie provided two statements, like we said. The first one was Janie McKenzie, Janie. I don't know why they need to put that in brackets, but okay. Said Lily and Jack are her stepchildren. She lives in the camper on the same property as the residence from where Lily and Jack went missing. She said she saw them all week. Regarding Friday, she said the following. On Friday morning, she got up at 6 a.m., had her tea and cigarettes. Okay, well, the thing that's not here is about the 6:24 time when she was, I think, she got a message from her brother. She either messaged her brother or got a message from her brother on Facebook. She went out, just ask Daphne, she'll tell you. She went out and tended to her chickens and let her dog out. She went back inside and played a game on her phone. I'm still going to guess that it was like Pot Farm or something like that. Or me. Oh, you know what? I bet you any money. Hey, this is just speculation. I bet it's the game that Timu has that I was always playing all the time until I realized it was a joke. Who wouldn't doubt it if it was the Timu game. Asking, go ahead, Janie, that one you can answer. Is that the game? She got a call from her brother, Ron McKenzie, at 8:48 a.m. and they talked about going to town. After she was done talking to him, she went back to bed and may have dozed off after scrolling on Facebook. She originally said that she might have learned that the children were gone around 8:48 before she talked to Ron. Well, that wouldn't make sense now, would it? But later clarified the timeline in her second statement. Her dog started barking, and that woke her up. She heard Lily and Jack in the backyard, okay? This isn't just in the backyard. This is literally playing on the swings and laughing, and then dozed off again. She woke up when she heard Daniel yelling for Jack and Lily. She didn't think anything of it because Jack liked to look for bugs and get into things when he's doing that. So she thought Daniel might have been yelling at Jack for that reason. But she heard Jack and Lily. Why would it just be, she woke up and she heard Daniel yelling for Jack and Lily. Yeah. But anyways, so Daniel might have been yelling for Jack for that reason. When she came out after waking up again, she saw Malaya standing in the rock pile holding Meadow. Malaya said Jack and Lily were missing for about, let's just draw the conclusion, folks, 20 minutes. And she had called 911. Janie got her coat and boots and walked around looking for them. Daniel was searching for them. Her brother called again around 10:19, which we see on the phone, and that's where she is inconsistent because she said she didn't take her phone with her and she didn't have it before the police arrived. So that's clearly wrong because the police arrived at 10:27. So obviously she had her phone to answer it when her brother had called at 10:19. Now don't forget, okay? I'm trying to think about this in my head too as we're reading this. So the call goes in at 10:01, right? Now, Janie doesn't come out till 10 minutes after the fact, right? Of hearing Daniel yelling. Now, again, Malaya's already on the phone at this point, right? So Janie says she went up, looked in that little area, and she went up the hill, walked all along the road. So I'm just trying to equate the time in my head that then somebody then had their phone by 10:19 during that time frame, because you guys seen how Janie walks. She got a big limp, right? I'm just putting this out there because this is what we were told by her and what we seen versus time, okay? So anything that again has some sort of variance to it, I'm going to point it out. Now again, so her brother called it 10:19. So there's an inconsistency there, and a time lapse issue perhaps there as well. Malaya called her mother, who came to the house. When her mother arrived, Malaya talked to her and said, now this sentence is weird, okay? I don't know who took the, statement on this one, but really, Malaya talked to her and said, I told you they had autism. Okay, so when Cindy Murray arrives, the first thing out of Malaya's mouth is, I talked to her and told her that I told you that they had autism. Okay, that's just a weird sentence right there in the mix of anything. Weird sentence. I'm sure it might have been said, but the way this is like Cindy arrived and Malaya's just telling her, hey, I told you they had autism. Like that's why they ran away, I guess. Malaya talked to her and said, I told you that they had autism. Family members started to show up. One of her brothers went to get an ATV and they continued searching, Janie said, for the rest of Friday. So family members started to show up. One of her brothers went to get an ATV and searched. So Janie said for the rest of Friday, she searched for the kids with her family members. How much more is Janie saying here? Okay, well, let's stop there for a second. Yeah, let's stop there for a second. And hey, everybody, thank you, of course, for being here. Hold on, just having a sip. Makes me thirsty talking. So, from anything that was said there, Janie was outside that AM, should have been outside right before the school bus came by. Daphne says, I thought Temu was a clothing website. Oh, well, my bad. It is, but there's a game. There's this water game that Temu has on it. And it's a little bit of an addicting game because they try to let you believe if you earn these points. But I ended up getting my points from playing this game, spending a lot of money, which was a lot, but it was okay. Because I knew what I was buying. But once it got to like 99%, it started going up by 99.1%, 99.2, 99.3, and it took you a lot of spending to get to the actual 100%. But anyways, they do have a game that you play along with Timo. Hi, Kitty. I thought they said it was weird that the dog didn't bark. No, I don't recall anything about the dog not barking at all. There was nothing ever said about the dog not barking. I want to know where they took walks with Jack and Lily. Well, into the woods. I never play spin wheel or of Timo. Got a lot of free gifts off them. A lot of shit products, but a lot of good products as well. Yeah, it is a legit site. And if you get hacked, it's your problem. You know, if your card gets compromised, you know, I've never had my card compromised on it at all. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, okay. Maybe she meant I told you to watch them because they have autism. No, I don't think so. No, she was speaking about her mom, Cindy. That's different than Janie. I think I missed a comment. Okay, I don't even want to hear about. Let me make this nice and clear. Okay, I don't want to hear myself. You guys can talk about it if you want. I don't want to hear anything about some stupid white van that somebody spoke about or something in some message on Hidden in the Fog. Let's get real, people, okay? Was there ever a white van mentioned anywhere? Do you honestly believe that 4 months later, we're going to start hearing about a white van? Okay? These people like, let's see here, Natasha Haywood. That's as much as I put. I put 1,000%. I would put more into Natasha Haywood than any sort of white van. What I want to say about that is think about that. There are people out there that literally thrive on making accounts and putting out bullshit information. Why? Because they just enjoy it. Just like family members and friends enjoy making accounts to attack people on them or try to push a narrative for this side of the family or that side of the family. These things happen. There's also people out there, again, that start, like we're talking about, this van thing. Okay. Someone already messaged me that, and I was a little bit short with them because common sense says that there's no white van that was ever spoken about, talked about, and you're not going to wait, unlike Hayward there, Natasha, a month later to sit there and go, you know what, on the second, I think I'm pretty sure I saw this, right? Again, a relation, a friend, someone trying to push a narrative about the children missing to push that narrative. So, as for the whole white van thing, I don't give zero credibility because this is where I'm telling you guys, and I'm sorry to if someone takes this as an insult, but God gave us brains to use, okay? And anyone that's been following this case knows that there was no insertion of a white van and clothes being thrown out of it and seen. It's a crock of shit. The person that says it's got is a crock of shit, and people that believe that are just following a crock of shit. So use your brains and use what we know and the information we do. Anyone trying to insert information that literally either wants to add bullshit to this narrative, okay? Again, use your brain cells. Why would we be hearing about this 4 months later? A crock of shit is a crock of shit. It means it's a pile of shit. Okay? Crock of crap. It's an expression. So I just want to say this, okay? I'm here to truly find answers for Jack and Lily. And I'm here to listen to multiple different thoughts and ideas from different people. But what I'm not going to entertain is people that want to talk about a crock of crap that somebody put out there. Then they start spreading that information, adding it to the pile of already BS that's already out there because some anonymous poster or something on a live or whatever it was, I don't think it was a live, probably a video, put a stupid comment that, guess what? They're part of it. They have knowledge. They know the family. They know some information, and stuff like that. And then it just gets heaped into the bunch of bull. So I call that white van thing, just like I wouldn't entertain the whole Daniel's new girlfriend crap either, because when bullshit's going on. And I didn't entertain that stuff either. Other channels did. So be it. But I didn't, because I knew that it was a crock of crap that was going on with all that, right? There's people that are totally attention-seeking true crime hoes, okay? That they just involve themselves for any reason that they can so that they can have their moment that everyone's talking about them. These people exist. I just want to say that. And could very well be. Again, you never know who's behind these names, right? Blue Jay, Explorer Corps, all these people. I don't know you, right? I know that you come into the channel, but I don't know you. I don't know if one of you guys is a pedophile that comes in here, that you have a history of freaking crime. I don't know, right? You're only important to me is if you give me reason to assess you, who you are, and what you're doing, and which would make me want to look into you more, right? But that's easier said than done in Canada, though, however. But in saying that, there's these people that always want to insert themselves. It doesn't matter if it's this case or other cases. So just be very wary that, okay? So people like drama. They like gossip. Okay, but does anyone's brains say that a white van 4 months later that we've never heard about decides to get included suddenly by some random person that they claim this or claim that? And then you're going to pass on that information because someone said that they're possibly a relative and stuff like that, and stuff like that. No, right? Like I said, I like talking to the family members, and I like talking to the information that the news is putting out, the RCMP is putting out. But as for that, what goes beyond that, Absolutely not. Unless you have some sort of, left a deep impression on me, and I know that what you're saying is truthful because I know you personally, I ain't believing anything else. Nope. Sorry. Not going to happen. Like I said, we want answers. We don't want, a bunch of crapola put out there, whatever you want to call it, BS. Okay. We just want some truthful understanding of the case. Hi, Darlene Langley. How are you? Oh my God. That's another thing, Explore Core. Okay. Okay. Now, it happened to be legit in the Delphi case, the white van. Okay. But do you know how many times? Like, wasn't it even in the Manuel Harrow case? Wasn't something about a white van there as well? Anyways, white vans are used all the time. Why? Because they are a dominant. Why did they pick white over black? Makes you wonder. But as many times as we hear that a white van was involved in a case, right? Honestly, it's kind of like the go-to thing to say is a white van. Anyways, let's get back on track. Boom. Okay. Put myself. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, there she is. Okay. Let's go here. Okay. So Janie provided some background information. Janie was concerned about the timeline because there's no way, that's right, Janie, there's no way that the kids could have walked from the front yard up the road where Daniel was in a vehicle without her seeing them. Janie said when the kids were in the yard, she usually watched them most. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. She said the kids were in school on Monday and Tuesday because the bus picked them up right outside their house. Wednesday was an in-service professional development day, and they were home. But when they went to their grandmother's house to do laundry and didn't get home until 10 p.m., Thursday, they didn't go to school, but they were in the yard playing through the day, and she gave them snacks. Some of these things kind of make me go, For instance, Thursday, we know that they went out around 12 o'clock and came back after 3 p.m. in the afternoon. But if you were to read this, it reads as if Thursday they didn't go to school, but they were in the yard playing through the day, and she gave them snacks. Wait, what about the whole timeline of Daniel and Malaya? Like, where is that information? Is that somewhere in redacted? It doesn't look like it, but maybe. But anyways, Janie said Malaya and Daniel are having financial difficulties. Thank you, Steffers, for 2 months. Becoming, of course, a member of It's a Crime and Shame. Appreciate that. I know I need to do another members live, but I have to think about when that time might be again on there. Okay, yeah, the black SUV was already rolled out. To be honest with you, if you've listened to the what do you want to call it? What's that called again? Austin, I had a brain fart. The dispatch audio. Thank you. Then you'll know that was already taken care of. Okay. They even actually said the people's names of who called in and whose vehicle it was, to be honest. But again, you just need to go back to the dispatch audio for that stuff. Okay. Okay, let's see here. Gave them some snacks. They were having financial difficulties. Well, no shit. Wade said that they were $34,000 in debt, owed the government money. Obviously, that would be from their taxes and filing, probably not common law. And then it gets backdated. And then they're owed money and stuff like that. Hence why they're money got stopped because of that, right? So obviously, just like Darren said as well, that, yeah, they were having financial difficulties for that reason, basically. It was just Wade that came out and actually said how much that they were owed, and about the stealing of Patty's card and stuff like that, whatever that Wade said. But anyways, I think all of us can be rest assured, from regardless of anything that these documents, is that Malaya and Daniel, Malaya loves to go to Patty for money, and Daniel's definitely not going to stop her. Why would he? If you got a gravy train that's willing to give you money, why ever would you stop that gravy train, right? It's clear to see they couldn't take care of their own responsibilities, by obviously the situations that they put themselves in, and by the documents where it says that they drove back to Truro and gave Patty back her bank card after doing shopping, grocery shopping, and this shopping and that shopping. So that part of it, obviously they're struggling, got a situation going on there. 3 kids. He's only working 1 day a week, getting some sort of, probably, well, that only lasts for so long though, too. But getting some sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Why can't I think of my words today? When you go on, when you get laid off, that word, and you go on that, but his wasn't laid off. It was just when you get cut back and the government helps you out. Janie said Jack would not go for a walk on his own. Janie's own words. She said Jack, Lily, Daniel went for a walk in the woods all the time, and they had to carry Jack sometimes because he got tired and would just sit in one place. Janie said she does not believe the kids are in the woods. Absolutely agree with you, Janie. 100%. Well, 99.9. Malaya provided. Okay, so hold on. So that's all of Janie's. Okay, so thank you. Why couldn't I think of that stupid word? Maybe it's because I don't leech off the government and do shit like that. But now, in saying that, I mean, obviously, if you're entitled to it, then so be it, right? I mean, if he's entitled to it, so be it. But couldn't think of that word for the life of me all of a sudden. Again, there was a police report of a white van. What page? What document? If someone can tell me what document, I'll gladly read it. If someone can tell me what document that was in out of the 13 documents. Maybe it's in this one. Who is ruling them out? Okay, they aren't suspects until something changes, possibly. So they ain't ruling anybody out, right? They don't clear someone until the case is solved, typically. But they never said that they're ruled out. That's derived from what? Their statements are inconsistent, According to these documents at the time, I would never consider them ruled out. I would consider them persons of interest. But again, is that because of their own fuck-ups, RCMP? And then they're left standing there picking their noses about where to go? Because what they probably should have done and didn't do are 2 different things. And then they find themselves going, it's not about Daniel and Malaya being these geniuses, okay? It's not about that. Nowhere in the documents does it say that Daniel and Malaya have been cleared, or that, right? That's not what they're saying. They're not calling them suspects. They're telling you in the documents that at this point in time, there's nothing to show criminality. It doesn't mean criminality didn't happen. They just have, obviously, they can't find nothing in the woods. They can't find a random person. They can't find anything to do, obviously, with Malaya and Daniel. They can't find anything to do with anything, is basically what these documents are telling you. So that leaves, we don't know what happened to Jack and Lily. They don't either. So people can derive it however they want. Right. And DT can derive it however he wants. Right. But when you're following a case, it is very rare that they say that somebody is cleared, because up until the case is solved, they don't know what happened to Jack and Lily. So there's nothing about them being cleared in my eyes. I don't care how somebody wants to word salad it. The bottom line is that they have no clue, according to these documents, what happened to Jack and Lily at all. You know, are the woods cleared too? You know, did they pass a polygraph test? Or if you're a pathological liar, is it likely that you could pass a polygraph test? Why are polygraph tests all of a sudden becoming very important? Now, again, they're not really, because they're not admissible. Do they perhaps give some insight? Okay. So they can't find nothing to do with Daniel and Malaya, right? And Janie couldn't take one because of her heart issue or whatever, even though she was the last one to claim that she heard them. But whatever. What are you going to do? You know, tie her up, make her and force her to take one if she has a heart issue going on? Obviously not. Sucks. Yeah. But if Daniel and Malaya, if they haven't tied Jack and Lily to anywhere, right? And then there's questions for a polygraph that say that they passed 4 questions, while that I'm sure that they did their, like Belinda said, their baseline ones. Does that mean that Daniel isn't a narcissistic liar and could pass a polygraph test because his lies are constant? Is that a possibility? Is it a possibility? Yes. But hi DT. It also says that the purpose was to, yes, I saw that, as suspects. And then the investigator's comment said, with the intent to rule out a crime. Right. A crime up until the point. Again, they don't have anything to show what happened to Jack and Lily. They said that there's no criminality in the case, basically up until this point. Does that mean it won't happen? No. Obviously, it still can, because they have no idea what happened to Jack and Lily. If they did, do you think it would be 4 months into the case right now? So, did they start off wrong? I think so. That's my opinion. Right? Should have cordoned off the area first and foremost. Absolutely. You would do that with any children's case where there's missing. You would think. They didn't do it with Sebastian's. They didn't do it here. So if they did need to go in hindsight, then they did. Hi, DT. Anyway, so my bottom line is, obviously we don't know what happened to Jack and Lily. Does that mean that at some point, Malaya, Janie, Daniel could become suspects? Absolutely. Right? Absolutely still could. Or maybe not. Maybe never. Not until answers come. So where are they? Where are they with this case at this point of the investigation? I would have thought that blanket would have been tested like ASAP, not June on that. Yeah. Well, again, I know me and DT, we're going to have our own thoughts. And again, kind of like what we talked about at the start of the show, right? Just like me, Charmaine, and Kent will disagree on certain things, and we'll talk about it. and talking about it, putting information. If DT wants to see something his way, and I see something my way, and Charmaine sees something her way, and Kent sees something their way, absolutely. Absolutely. But I know what I've watched since the beginning of this case, and I've seen it, and then does it make Daniel Malaya guilty? Well, they're certainly guilty of not protecting those two children on the property if they had no involvement whatsoever. And those two children disappeared underneath their watch by being able to get out a backsliding door, right? Absolutely. You know, Jack and Lily are missing today for that, for whatever the true story is, but for that very reason, right? But again, you know, they never. I think in Delphi DT didn't they just the only person I remember them clearing I think was Ron. And that was about it. And well, again, we obviously we see things differently in a lot of ways when it comes to the case. Absolutely. Again, does it make them guilty? No. Are their actions really strange? Are there inconsistencies really strange? Absolutely. I've been watching it from the start and what it's transpired into now, right? I've watched this unfold for 4 months and it's not normal. Whatever you want to call it, the actions to me are not normal. And they're not normal to a lot of people. It's not like I'm a one lone soldier here. We're talking about a ton of people. But I think that different perspectives, like I was saying earlier in the live DT, is that you have to always have an open mind. I don't have a closed mind. I do know what I've been witnessing, but I don't have a closed mind. I'm willing to look for any answers that bring answers for Jack and Lily. Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, so I want to go back. So for that part of it. Okay. So moving on. And if you guys haven't hit that like and the share, please do. You guys, if you're not subscribed to DG's channel, the Drunk Turkey Show, please do. Again, he's following this case, and everyone's opinions are valid because we don't know what the answers are. That's the bottom line of it. Now, inconsistencies, absolutely. Okay. Malaya provided 4 statements to the police. 2 statements were provided on May 2nd, May 3rd, and May 4th. The following is a summary of what she said. On the day Jack and Lily went missing, she heard them playing in the room or playing in the other room and was going in and out of sleep. Lily came to the room around, again, it's redacted. Again, they are the ones that said 8 to 8:30, but let's just, again, unredacted. Lily came in the room around blank a couple of times. Daniel, see, this is where I have my issue here already, right? Daniel was sleeping the whole time and didn't really wake up. Okay. So I have an issue right there already with that line. And every time I read it, I have an issue with it. These are their words. Those aren't my words. Those are their words. Okay. So we have heard multiple different versions of what happened in this so-called 20 minutes. And for some reason, the 8 o'clock time seems to get overlooked, even though it's clear that that came from Malaya and Daniel. Okay. But I have a problem with Malaya saying that Daniel was sleeping from 6:18 and basically didn't wake up until 9:40 is what Malaya had said. So let's see, where am I at here? Okay. Daniel was sleeping the whole time and didn't really wake up. Okay. So we know that Malaya said that she woke up. I tell Daniel, did you hear the children? They both get up, whatever, start looking for the children. Again, we're not going to get into those other stories after that point. Now, then we hear Daniel out of the blue. All of a sudden, I think it was the polygraph one, is when we heard that he woke up and asked Malaya, do you hear the children? Then later, he recants that. You know what? After I've been thinking about it, I think you're right. Okay, this is the same man, though, on the polygraph interview that also said, well, first of all, that the neighbor is just trying to take the heat off of themselves. That was during that same, well, he said that before, but he said that, right, as well. Sorry, lost my train of thought. I went to go say what I was going to say, and then I sidetracked to that. Shoot, you guys, what was I just saying? One sec. Hate it when I do that. Hate it. Okay. Oh, the whole time. Right. My bad. Found it in my brain again. Okay. Daniel says it wasn't like I was in a deep sleep. Okay. Right? It's not like he said he was in a deep sleep. He said, in fact, I wasn't in a deep sleep. You know, he says it's not like I was in a deep sleep or something. Okay. So again, so Malaya basically has you out cold pretty much the entire time, but yet you claim that you seen Jack and Lily. At first you said 3 times, I believe. Then it turned into multiple times, and then it turned into 2 times. And then suddenly it turns into Malaya suddenly saying that she's seen Lily 1 time. So how does that work then? If Malaya only heard or seen Lily 1 time. So obviously during your non-deep sleep, you didn't hear the door open and close. And like you said, Daniel, that it's a suction, right? It's a heavy door. It is a heavy door. Absolutely. It's an old one. So not only did you not hear that, then you're telling me that on that rickety porch that they own and kids going outside are not quiet. They're not quiet. So Janie says in her statement that not only were they at the play set, but they were playing on the swings. And so you're telling me too that you're not in a deep sleep. You're in bed with Meadow and stuff like that. But Malaya has you basically as unconscious in that bed alongside of her. And that you didn't hear the children playing or laughing, as Janie said in her statement. And your window is about just as far from her trailer to the play to your window in that mobile home. And you're going to act like you didn't hear anything during this 20-minute time frame that you're talking about. And that's on top of, that's not even including the inconsistencies about you running up for 30 seconds, right? And that Malaya was on the phone. But no, Malaya was on the phone already. Actually, Malaya was outside before you were. You know, like, how many times can a story change? Why? I'm sorry, but I'm not going to concede to all these inconsistencies at every moment. Maybe there's trauma. Because maybe if there is family involvement, and there's trauma if you're trying to cover up something, perhaps. And you have all of a sudden the situation that you're in. Maybe that's why you can't remember Wednesday. Hey, Malaya, why can't you remember Wednesday or Thursday properly? Daniel and Malaya, because all of a sudden you're in this traumatic experience, all of a sudden that your brains can't function, that you went to your mother or grandma's house, Patty's, and you can't remember that you did laundry, or Daniel, you can't remember all the trips that you guys made and stuff like that. Sorry. Again, it just goes along with the other inconsistencies. We've seen what's been said. How about the Barbie top? The Barbie top. Hey, Daniel, you guys have it in your statements at the Barbie top that she was wearing a Barbie top, but I also have you saying in a chat group, what about the Barbie top, that you have the Barbie top right there at home? What about the the shirt and the jacket that was on the top of the vehicle that Wade saw. What about that? Was that the Barbie top that was there? But what about the Barbie top? Because then you said that the clothes that they were wearing, Daniel, you can't talk about them because they were part of a criminal investigation. But yet, by the same token, Daniel, you guys said that they went to bed in the same clothes. That Lily had a backpack, and that Jack had a blanket. And so, don't you think that that's a little sus too? I mean, what kid goes to bed with a backpack, really? But okay, weird, very weird. But all of a sudden, you guys say that she's wearing a Barbie top, but then wait, no, it's wrong. And then next thing you know, you can't talk about it because it's important, crucial evidence. Come on now. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about these words to the words that you've been spewing, right? And mostly Daniel, because he's the one that's been mostly doing the talking. And let's go about Malaya. Hey, Malaya. How you doing there, Malaya? Looking for Jack and Lily much, Malaya? What you doing? You know? Because typically mothers, they don't want to pro-advocate for their children when they go missing. But hey, that's okay. Let's give Malaya the benefit of the doubt that she's doing things her way, right? But what about these different inconsistencies, Malaya? You know, about that Daniel didn't want you to have Cody in that because, I don't know, because she said you're jealous of him and stuff like that. How about the fact that Malaya said, and even Darren went on and said, sorry, Daniel, but I know, about, abusing, and if you call slapping a kid on the thing. But Malaya also said in her messages that sometimes you did things to Jack, mostly, but sometimes Lily. And that Malaya said that you were non-aggressive and that like you weren't violent or whatever, basically. Really, Malaya? Do you want to go back to your messages you sent me about how Daniel held you down, about how Daniel that he did things to Jack and Lily? Do you want to go back to that? Back to all those inconsistencies, right? It's like we're being misled with information. All of a sudden, could Daniel ever hurt the kids? No, but wait a second. But you already said, the fact that he did stuff to Jack and Lily, right? You heard Wade talk about it. Do you think Wade picked that information, which is Cindy's other half? Do you think that Cindy, after watching Wade's video, okay, it was clear as day that obviously Wade and Cindy talk, right? Of course they're going to talk. They're going to talk about the Jack and Lily and what they believe happened and stuff like that. Of course they're going to talk. So what do you think was the conversation with Wade when he was speaking to Tint? It was all about how those children were buried somewhere, right? How Daniel was abusive to Malaya and the children. How Patty had told Darren that to go help get Malaya out of that abusive situation. Okay? Now, these are third-hand words, some of them, obviously, but you take it with a grain of salt. But how many times can it be said about Malaya herself not wanting to be there, Malaya literally leaving, deleting all her posts of Daniel, right? Couldn't even look at Daniel. So I think myself that Daniel I don't know, you guys, honestly, I don't believe any of them still. I don't give a rat's ass. I don't believe any of them because none of them have proven to be truthful. Maybe they were asked 4 questions. Maybe, again, psychopaths, sociopaths, whatever. But I'm not going to buy this. I'm not going to buy this of the fact that these people are being truthful regardless, because they have shown nothing to show in all their timeline of events and all their inconsistencies, including the ones that I'm reading on these documents, even more inconsistencies. You're not going to have me believe for 1 second that the truth isn't being told, because it's not. Or the truth is being told, because it's not. Change my mind. What did Charmaine say? Inconsistent memory is one thing, but why are these people lying when their children are missing? Why do we lie? We do it to protect ourselves. Absolutely. Absolutely. Right? Of course, there's a time of 8 o'clock. We know, okay, obviously they would be lying about that if there was a bigger gap than what they're saying. I don't believe it's from some sort of traumatic experience myself. I understand that, like Delphi, that when you're being asked things, right, that your memory is going to be a little bit foggy. I get that for sure. But we're not talking about one person. We're talking about three different people that were on that property that all seem to have some sort of amnesia with a proper timeline. Everyone's saying, well, no, I told my mom that the children were missing. Well, Janie said Malaya told her that the children were missing. You said you went up into the woods for 30 seconds. You said that you went out first and was calling, that Malaya just stood there doing nothing. And then you said that you went up there and you come down, and next thing you know, she's on the phone to 911. Then you say, well, just a second, let me go check the woods. And then you say, well, what the fuck would you do to Malaya, right? About calling 911 when she asked you if she should call. So if you're up in the woods, so how do we keep forgetting all of this stuff? Like when we're talking about the most important time frame that they're trying to solidify, which is 9:40 to 10:01, because they're removing 8 o'clock out of there from pretty much the equation, and they're basing everything about the children missing when they could have possibly disappeared, what they did during this time. How could in 20 minutes of time, all of them have so many inconsistencies with the timeline of who told who woke up? No, I said this. You honestly don't think that there's a part of you in some aspect that don't believe that they're both just lying to you because they both know the truth? Is that a possibility? Absolutely. Is it a possibility that they're in the woods? Sure. When pigs fly, they're probably going to be in those woods. Is there a possibility of some random person coming by, picking them up? Sure. If maybe their timeline existed from 8 o'clock to 9:30, you know, sure, possibly then, because then we could have maybe more than one vehicle drive by in 20 minutes. But Janie flat out tells you that there's no way that these children, she's lived there for 26 years, could have been randomly abducted, right? Again, it's like Sebastian Rogers' case. You're going against the grain of everything that these children were said that they don't do, that did. Janie didn't go shopping that day, right? Janie all of a sudden changes her plans. Daniel says, well, Malaya thought that my mom was going to be out, right? You know, that's why she had this look of shock. You know, you have Darren who inserted himself, saying that the children, because of Daniel's words, saying, according to Darren, that they're at the end of the driveway, that that's where Malaya was seen, not right there 10 feet in front of Janie's trailer, right? And then Janie makes a ridiculous statement and says, well, you know, I heard the kids playing on the swing set, and all the time it's Jackie boy, Jackie boy, Jackie boy. Come on, Jackie boy. Come on, Jackie. But she doesn't hear them all of a sudden, right? So if Janie's timeline is after 9 o'clock, right? And Daniel and Malaya, whatever, come out, whatever, 9:40, Jack, Lily, blah, blah, blah. But according to Daniel, it wasn't Malaya at all. It was only him that did everything, right? But so Janie says all that, and then she says, someone posed the question to her. You know, Janie, would you have heard a car if it came up, you know, up here the driveway? Well, not if it was a newer car, maybe. Why wouldn't your dog have barked, Janie? Your dog barks at everything. Your dog barks when the kids come outside. You don't think your dog's going to bark when it hears rocks of a tire on freaking a gravel piece of road of your driveway? And you're not going to hear that, Janie? Janie, come on now, though. You insert yourself into everything, and yet you claim nothing. You claim that you're just letting Daniel and Malaya live their life. And yet every time you speak, you're telling how involved you are in about what you know about what they're doing pretty much of every day and what the children are doing. And you're telling me, Janie, that in this time slot again, that you wouldn't have heard a vehicle pull up and that Malaya had this suspicious look as if she put the kids into a car? This is all just a crock of shit. I don't even want to call it a theory. This is Daniel sitting there putting out this information that Malaya did this. But Daniel, one of his original thing was that it was just him that was outside. It wasn't both of them. It depends what version of Daniel you're listening to, right? So this document can say whatever it wants. It can say that a pathological liar passed the polygraph test. But I've seen nothing but somebody brag, talk, make everything about themselves, including that interview with Allie, with Janie. And it was never about Jack and Lily. It was about wanting to tell you, well, I just want him to come to the property so I can show you exactly how things went. Bravo. Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, how about that and the fact that you made it about Jack and Lily? And don't make excuses, right? It's the actions that are happening between Daniel and Malaya. Again, does it make him guilty? Guilty of BS? Perhaps, in my book. Does it make him guilty of having something to do with Jack and Lily? No, according to what information that they have. Does it mean that I'm not thinking that they still have something to do with the disappearance? Oh, I'm sorry, but their actions are that of people that are being untruthful, that know something, that know more than they're trying to cover up something. And that's the only reason why you need to lie or make stuff up or portray that Malaya didn't have anything to do with anything. Now I'm just on my spiel. Sorry, guys. There's just so many inconsistencies. And when I read this stuff, it just adds more to it. Adds more to even what you already thought was inconsistent. That's what 4 months of watching this go on gets you from every day-to-day live that I have done or we've seen Daniel in. Now, again, Daniel, multiple opportunities to clear up anything he wanted to. But he didn't take those opportunities. He didn't take those opportunities at all, right? He could have, but he didn't. So instead it became a game. I don't do games. I don't like games, right? You play games with me. Like I said, I'm the last person you want to play a game with. I just don't fall for that type of bullshit. I know bullshit when I see it. I spent 4 months watching it. Well, I'll say 3.5, because for the first probably week, I actually believed in what Daniel was saying. And I was skeptical about Malaya because of her actions. But her actions are that of someone that's being abused, being controlled, that she didn't want to be there, that Daniel held her down, and Malaya made the choice to stay with someone that does meth. I don't know what she ever did, if she ever touched any sort of drugs herself besides medication or something. I don't know. Don't know that part. Daniel is how do you say that word? Corrugatically? Huh. I'm not saying that right. Whatever. I don't usually use that word. But anyways, has stated, that he didn't do drugs. Yet you got Malaya ever since he was induced with Meadow that he was doing meth. Right? That was the whole big thing about the fight. Why Haley came out. Right? Because Logan wasn't saying anything about that. Why would Logan? Because Logan is Daniel's cousin. Right? Of course she's going to believe her cousin. Of course. Right? But again, why is Malaya going to say that Daniel did meth if he didn't? Where in those articles does it talk about when Malaya woke up and that Daniel was doing meth at midnight? around midnight. Where's that in those articles? Nope. Malaya says she was asleep, right? Till the morning time, basically, till 6 o'clock when her alarm went off the first time, and 6:15 when it went off the second time. What about that part of the story? How come that didn't make it into these documents? Maybe it's somewhere in the redacted version of this article. You know? Don't know. All I know is that the bones of this article, again, just is a lot more inconsistencies to what has been put out there for the last 4 months. And I don't give the graces of making excuses for every single timeline and all these different versions that have constantly in 20 minutes of time frame. Nope. Sorry. Not going to happen. You know? Not going to happen. You know when like Janie, in your heart when you just feel it, right? When you just feel something. Well, I feel like a lot of lies and untruth has happened here. And that's including Malaya on top of that. Why do you think that Wade and Janie, when Wade got caught talking in that interview, obviously what Wade said, all three of them should be locked up. They're all lying. Why don't you go look 20 miles from here? It's probably where the children are buried. You don't think that Cindy and, like I said, Wade had conversations about this and what their thoughts are on this? I'm just saying. I'm looking at everything. So that's not true. That statement's not true. Malaya left. There was 2 arguments. And if you guys go back and listen to Cheryl, Malaya never left during the press conference. Okay. She never left. That's a fact that she didn't leave during the press conference. Now, obviously, was she wanting to go home with her mother? Right? Malaya received a text message that day, as Charmaine was talking about. Malaya received a text message. Rickroll. Just like Charmaine talked about as well, and there could be more to the story. Malaya received a text message on May 3rd from an unknown caller saying that Daniel was cheating on her. Now, was that unknown caller? I don't know. Was it Daniel? Was it a friend of Daniel's playing a game? Was it not? But there was a story that was behind that even more so. Is it true?
Christina lost the super chat. $4.99 you're awesome. Thank you. I'd love to go over their initial statements again, Sunny. MBMT and the JN.
Thank you, Christina. When you talk about the initial statements, are you talking about the original ones before these documents came out? Is that what you're talking about? Are you talking about these documents? So again, like I said, I look at everything, no matter what it is, right? I look to the woods. Is that still plausible? Is it not plausible? I look to a random person, right? I look to, is what Daniel's trying to portray that Malaya was no part of it at first and that it was Cindy that had everything to do with, well, she passed her polygraph too. So Daniel, where are the children? If Cindy passed her polygraph and Wade passed his and all that stuff, right? Where are the children? You're so convinced that Malaya's family members did something to make it look like you did something to Jack and Lily. Or are you guys just fucking with our heads? Inquiring minds want to know. Because honestly, there's no Daniel has done too much reputation to his image for anyone following the case, that has been following it from the start, to believe anything that he says. I don't give a shit about a bear picture. Great, bears. There ain't no blood splatter strewn all over the woods that they came across, or articles of a backpack or clothing that the kids were wearing, and stuff like that. Yeah, of course, bears are going to go there. Great, thanks. Nice new cameras. They sure weren't there when people were stealing from your property and stuff like that you were accusing and stuff property wasn't cleaned up for Lily and Jack up until the point that you had to. Well, that stuff pisses me off. Why do you have to wait till it's too late? Right? Why do you have to wait till it's too late? If you had no involvement whatsoever, regardless, that was a death trap place for those children to live. There was no being safe there. You left the darn back door open. You didn't even put a stick of wood there, but you put a wrench from the bear in the front door. Yeah, I'm the opposite. Well, I go with memory, absolutely. But for me, Daniel, it's DT, I should say. Um, it's not just about memory, it's about actions, and it's about what's happening. And of course, it's about documents and everything like that. Um, but it's about truth, about Jack and Lily, the people that should be fighting the hardest with consistency. And if you make an inconsistent statement, you own up to it. Oops, right? I forgot. Belinda does it all the time whenever she makes an inconsistent statement. Why is Daniel refusing to talk to Belinda? I've asked him multiple times to reach out to her. She deserves it. So why are these people working against each other instead of for Jack and Lily? There's no sense to that at all. As a parent, this is what you would call despicable, disgusting. It's what you would call it. Because this is not what you would expect for people to be hiding, to people to be barely coming out of the woodwork talking about their family members, about the situation, about maybe what they did that day. Just like Belinda. I said, what was it like for you when you arrived on the 3rd? Right? And stuff like that. Because you want insight from everyone about what they were feeling. If there's one thing I think it's clear to learn, is that Malaya somehow lacks emotions. Everyone has basically said, Wade, Belinda, right? Others, I'll just use the word others, that she's not acting like 2 children are missing. So is somebody going to say, oh, must be some drugs she's on? Maybe she is a sociopath herself. Doesn't have those emotions truly. Maybe she does. Maybe something happened. Maybe it didn't. Do you have a question, Rob? I wouldn't look at the bear in the area as one possibility. The other could be scared the kids away. Yeah. I could look at that if a bear perhaps scared children away. But I have a hard time with 20 minutes time. I have a 20-minute timeline that 2 children can just vamoose out of view, out of sight through yelling. Because, right, remember, Daniel almost lost his life twice. But isn't that the poly about what they said? And we still have no idea what the RCMP know or where the investigation is today. Those court docs and info in them is not part of it. Right. This is Canada. Right. Right. Now, again, let me just go back to that. I just want to take a look. Let me just look. I'm just sorry. So remember that the police RCMP wanted these documents sealed. The reason why the RCMP, I guess, needed these documents, sorry, I don't know why my thing is lagging. Just give me a second here. And if you guys haven't hit that like button, please do so for Jack and Lily. What was said? A police only include relevant interviews and information to the records request or warrant they're seeking. Of course, a lot was blacked out, which we know. Mind you, there was this really one good psychic I watched. Thank you, Daleen. I always forget how she worded it. Okay. Charmaine, can you word it for me? Why these documents came out? Because obviously it was a lawyer for the Canadian Press, I believe it was, that was like, hey, no, we have the freedom of information. But there was a reason why these particular documents came out. I just know that you can word shit better, and I was looking for my particular paragraph that I was told, but I don't know why. It's like a brain fart. It just blocks it all the time on there. Okay. Just so anyways, this is why I have so many grievances. Again, is because of the fact of what I've witnessed for 4 months and what you guys have that have been following it is been nothing but an embarrassment to Jack and Lily's case. And it's just absurd is what it is. Okay. The inconsistencies, what's been going on with the family members, is something to be desired, to say the least. There's no words in my head that can explain how disappointing it is to watch true crime creators be more vigilant, excluding Belinda, and you can exclude Daniel if you want, for putting and keeping awareness out there for information, regardless, okay? We've barely heard anyone besides Darren, okay? I mean, Darren created a pot stir mess, okay? But it created people to come out and talk. Great. Thanks. Talk, family. Don't you guys want answers to people that truly want answers for Jack and Lily? Isn't that what you want for these beautiful children that belong to your guys' family and not ours? Isn't that what you would hope for? Here, let's do a reminder that these two children are not my children. They're not DT's children. They're not Charmaine's children, Bonnie's, Yes Ma'am's children, Explorecor's children. These are your children. You should be out there doing everything that you can. If you say, Malaya, that you want answers for Jack and Lily, that's what you said to me every other second, that you just want your kids home, you just want them found, and you'll do anything. And as far as that went, the next day you didn't want to answer any more questions. What does that tell me? You were gladly answering certain questions for a bit there, and I'm grateful for you answering. But by the same token, it was so disappointing to know that the own mother that hadn't spoken out in over 2.5 months says that she just wants her children back and she'll do anything. And that you literally did not want to seem to answer questions. It wasn't the next morning. She answered some because I had to work. Okay. So I gave her a list of questions and then I was still getting ready for work. You guys, I never raced so hard to get ready for work as fast as I did that morning because I knew for a fact that as much as Malaya was answering questions, I was going to get shut down at some point. And I knew that was going to come. So when you catch somebody, in a sense, in the moment, you know that, okay, while they're opening up, no different than Daniel or Janie or anybody else, when they're opening up, you want to, that's the best time you want to talk to them, is when they're freely open. And then sometimes, they get upset or get pissed off or they do whatever. And next thing you know, or they talk to somebody in the family that says, don't say anything else. Why not? Why wouldn't you want to talk about Jack and Lily? Why would you want to stop questions from being answered about a timeline? Questions about truth and transparency. Why wouldn't you want that for your children? Not Daniel's children, your children that slid out of your VJ, the ones that you gave birth to, including Meadow. Why wouldn't you want that for your children, Malaya? Cindy, Wade, Patty. Again, you guys are all close to Malaya. Why wouldn't you start speaking out and just advocating on the news for Jack and Lily? Unless you already know the answers. Why wouldn't you do that? Why isn't the reservation? What's all that about as well? So is it Daniel's side that's trying to portray them missing? And Malaya's side believes that what? They're not even with us anymore? Is that why? Because according to Wade, that's pretty much the talk of it. How obviously him and Cindy must have conversations about what's happening. Obviously a reason. Oh, hold on. You guys, my husband's home. 1 second. Okay. Best husband ever. Booster juice. Who doesn't love booster juices? Do you guys have booster juice in the United States, right? It's like heaven. Heaven just hit my palate is what it did. Thank you, husband. And so cold. Okay. Okay. Let's go back to the documents. Remove. I got a good husband. When you've been through some shit ones and then you get a good one, you're truly appreciative of that. Well, you'd think so. Right? Hello, lovelies. Okay. Now let's get back to this. Okay. Okay, so we basically went to Daniel was sleeping the whole time and didn't really wake up. She didn't hear them anymore around blank, so she got up and they couldn't find them, so they called 911. The police came and got statements. Everyone was frantically searching for them. Malaya did not think that this would take days. The kids went to school Monday, Tuesday, but Wednesday was a professional development day, so they were off. She kept them home on Thursday and Friday. Malaya said honestly, Malaya said she doesn't remember what they did on Wednesday. All right. I'm sorry. I got to stop on that one. Okay. They go to Patty's house. At about what? What was it? What time in the afternoon was it? 12? 12? Now I'm getting my times mixed up with that one. Anyways. Now, Wednesday, right? They go to Patty's house. Remember, this is when Daniel gives this information that Lily got a black eye by falling on a vehicle. How do you not remember going grocery shopping and using Patty's bank card to do all of your license plate, your vape juice, your gas, and then you went grocery shopping and you can't remember what, like, one thing that happened on Wednesday when you literally, I'm sorry. Okay, Patty, you are a sucker and love your granddaughter beyond measure, obviously, because obviously they love to leech your bank cards during their financial times. I get it, but I think that Patty is a rolling bank that literally helps, because sometimes it reminds me of my older sister Paula. Okay, Paula pretty much got anything she asked for. Narcissistic, full of herself, thought about herself a lot, selfish, self-centered, couldn't take care of, well, no, she could take care of herself after a while, but anyways, kind of reminds me a lot of my sister that way, in the sense of Paula would get everything. Well, you got a sucker born every minute, and sorry, Patty, but obviously you love your granddaughter, want the best for her, but then they're standing on your own two damn feet in this world and taking care of yourself and not being a banker. But hey, that's your own personal life and problem. I just have a hard time reading how much what seems like they took advantage of Patty's generosity and kindness when I'm reading this stuff. Anyways, how do you, yeah, the juice, whatever you want to call it, the moolah, again, the banking cow, whatever you want to call it, guys. Either way, all you can see is, uh, Grandma, uh, we need groceries in the house. Do you think you could help us out? Oh, by the way, I need plates for my vehicle. Oh, right, the government. Oh, I'm so sorry that we stole your credit card before. Yeah, Ixnay, Oxnay, Grandma. Good thing you don't remember. Good thing you love me more, Grandma. Right? Anyways, bottom line is, I have a problem with the Malia said she doesn't remember what they did on Wednesday. That was a pretty fulfilling day, wouldn't you think? Hi, Louise. Pretty fulfilling day that happened there. You would think, I don't know, laundry, shopping, license plate, meadow, black eye. Something would have come out of that. Just saying, okay? I got a hard time with that. When I read that, I was like, you're kidding me, right? Anyways, so specifically, she gave a detailed description of what happened on Thursday. Well, of course she did. On Thursday. Went from brain loss to memory came back. Okay? Malaya kept Lily and Jack home from school on Thursday morning because they had a cough or a black eye, one of the two. She contacted the school through the app at 6:17 and 18. We know that Malaya sent that graciously to me. The kids got up and came into their bedroom. Meadow was already up and in bed with Malaya. They got up and headed out to get the kids breakfast. Now remember, this is Thursday. They wanted the TV on and they wanted to play with their toys. Everyone woke up around 9 a.m. Malaya said she tidied the house. I call bullshit on that throughout the day and looked after the kids. She said that she also scrolled her phone at one point because she was overstimulated. I'll absolutely 100% take your word for that one. She had blank, so that's going to be she had blood work in New Glasgow in the afternoon on Thursday. And she and Daniel went with all the kids. They drove her 2017 white Nissan Pathfinder. Thank you, Janie, for paying for the plates for that vehicle. They went to the Big Stop gas. So not only did they get gas on Thursday, I'm probably sure that they filled up on Patty's card on, on the Wednesday, actually. Wait, why would you need gas? If you literally just filled up your gas tank at night off Patty's card, then you went for more gas again that fast? Okay. They went to the Big Stop gas, and she thought they might have gotten the kids bagels. Okay. She thought that they might have gotten the kids bagels? Or you kind of think that you would remember what you got them, or that you got them something to eat, but okay. She thought that didn't I hear Starbucks somewhere? Oh, there, right. Then they went to Starbucks drive-thru before going home. That's weird. Kids at Tim Hortons, Daniel stayed in the car with the kids when she got blank, then went to Starbucks to drive through before going home. Then there's Acropole too. In the evening, she was going to do some cleaning, but she was too tired, right? She was too tired because the kids were watching a show on TV. She put Lily and Jack, of course, to bed first, then Meadow. And then she went to bed herself. Malaya said that they were late getting to bed that night and went around 9 p.m., that they usually go around 7 p.m. Lily was wearing a pink sweater, pink pajamas with white shapes, and a Barbie top with pink socks. Her hair was shoulder length and her backpack was beside her. Jack was wearing black pants, sweatpants, a shirt, and a diaper, and he was only partially trained. Well, let's remove that for a second, shall we? Let's see. Do I have it clearly up on my thing? No, not that one. Hold on. I know it's up on my thing, but let me just. It should be right here. Just give me a second. Can we just go over a few of these statements? If you guys don't mind. Okay. Image file. Nope. Share screen. Stop share screen. Share screen. Let's go. Okay. Oh yeah, good old Vinny. I loved it when Vinny created his own channel. I love Vinny. He's a tell it like it is type of person. Explorecore knows that it costs him to speak or her to speak, whichever. Okay. Let me make this bigger for you guys. I just want to go over, just to go down memory lane here a little bit. Okay? Because this is going to be relevant to what I just read about the Barbie top. So first of all, Daniel says, right? And you guys, I cut to the chase. I didn't put everyone's little questions in between these. Anyone following the case understands these answers. She will go as long as she can, but will crack after her mental health is put to the test exams. Oh, wait, I'm saying too much. I believe they're alive and Malaya knows who took them. But wait, hold on. Because you've distinctly said that Malaya had nothing to do with this. That this was her evil mother, Cindy Murray. That Malaya was innocent and that she was basically as if she was in a cult and was being more, told what to do, how to do it, when to do it, but she had no part in it. That's ridiculous. Okay, so I believe that they're alive and Malaya knows who took them and drove off the property. Of course you do. Because the blanket's planted against you, the clothes are planted against you. No, wait, those are scratch and sniffs. Hold on. Malaya will crack soon. Not one person in her family speaks to bring the kids home. Well, there's a couple, but for the most part, you're correct. No one knew. No one knew. It started after Meadow was born. Okay. So I just want to clarify, Daniel, the same time that Malaya said you were doing meth is the same time that she had postpartum syndrome, right? Is that what happened there? So same time that you were doing meth is the same time about Malaya and her postpartum. She also said that the kids are in the woods. No. No. Janie did. You did. Now, Malaya did say to Belinda that I never thought that the kids would take off of me or that the kids didn't go into the woods. But that was hours later that she messaged those. That was hours later. Okay. But we're talking about the morning that you guys are talking about in interviews. And not once did anyone say that Malaya said that the children were in the woods. Janie said it and you said it. But nowhere did any of you say that Malaya said it in your interviews. Okay, so let's go on about that. Let's see. She also said that, the kids are in the woods. Stupid. Oh, yeah, right. Because stupid you believe that. And I searched and searched. Right. Righto. Yes. That's it. That's correct. Patty bought the car for Malaya. That's correct. Right. Mm-hmm. No big thinking there. They can't. Okay. Now I can understand a grandmother wanting to do something special for her granddaughter, and stuff like that, and have a good vehicle because she has to get around the kids. I can see her, falling prey to, that feeling badly and stuff like that. But I think that there's being a loving grandmother and a granddaughter that's totally taking advantage. Sorry, Malaya. I might be speaking words and putting them in your mouth. But that's how I see it, to be honest with you. I didn't grow up like that. I grew for you had to earn things, work for things yourself if you wanted something. It wasn't handed over to me on a silver platter. And I didn't leech off of my family. Even when I was in my toughest times, I did not. Stupid me believe that. And I searched and searched. They can't. They can't. Then the kids would be moved to a different location. All right, they can't talk about it because the kids would be moved to a different location. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Anyways, okay. Let's go to the next one. I believe that they are alive. Malaya took them off, drove them off the property. Wait, I believe they're alive, and Malaya knows who drove them off the property. She will go as long as she can, but will crack after mental health. Wait, did I not already read that? I'm the wrong one. Maybe I did the same one. It has some of the same ones in there. She was going to take a break that day. Maybe that's why. She was going to take a break that day. That's why she made the mistake with Meadow. Well, she was going to look for help from the reserve. I know more than that, but Meadow's fine. Meadow's alive. Yeah, we know him. He's Malaya's family. They're talking about Durwood there, obviously. My kids, yes, great with mine, meaning Malaya. They're great with his kids. It's ruining all of the province's faith. Well, I kind of think that your actually bullshit is ruining the province's faith, to be honest. Since you're the one that's out in the forefront talking about them, I think it's more yours and Malaya that's ruining the province's faith about Jack and Lily because the actions that have been going on are, we'll call it redonkulous, okay, to what they should be and how they should be handled if you're telling the truth. Yes. Yeah, she wanted birth certificates and school pics and the one stuffed animal for Lily and Jack. Mm-hmm. My goodness, that booster juice is great. No one good thing. She went on about trauma. This is so sensitive of Daniel. Daniel, I know this is being so sensitive, but she went on about the trauma for the first year over and over. I had to say to her to stop it. So, um, so now here we go, right? It's not her hiding them. Right. So wait, what did you say? I believe that they're alive and Malaya knows who took them off the property, right? But you've also kept saying that she doesn't know anything, right? That it's not her. It's her mom. Oh, her mom passed a polygraph, right? So what about Wade? Right? Okay. Come on. Okay. Okay. I can't go on that res she belongs to. It's dangerous for me. It's not the shub. It's not the shub. It's the Indian Brook one that she's on. She doesn't have the mental foresight to understand the complex nature. Okay. Oh, here we go. Okay, right. Okay. Oh, sorry. This one does always make me laugh. She doesn't have the mental foresight to understand the complex nature of what she was about to do. Two missing kids at the same time, one in a million. Absolutely. But I guess you have the mental foresight to understand the complex nature of what she was about to do, probably. Anyways, she fell in love with Meadow and Jack and Lily. You might as well just said she fell in love with Meadow and Jack and Lily and I fell to the wayside. But he didn't. He just said Jack and Lily fell to the wayside and he lived it. I took care of Lily and Jack. She only cared about Meadow. And I'm not going to say that that could not be accurate. I think that in my heart of hearts, I think Malay is lazy. Just like Wade said. Just like what we've been told about the inside of the house. I think Malaya leeches off family for money and she's lazy. I think that she's selfish in my personal opinion. It's not an expert opinion, it's my personal opinion. So I think that there's a lot of truth to what Daniel says there. She doesn't want them, only Meadow. Daniel was Malaya, good around your kids. My kids, yes, great with mine. Here we go. Remember that Barbie top that we just read about what Lily was wearing? Yeah. Remember Daniel's talking here. Her Barbie top is here at my place. I have everything the kids own and all Malaya's belongings as well. Nothing except 2 of my shirts she stole. What about the water bottle? What about the 5 items that you said somebody went in and took 5 items? 1 dark navy blue shirt and 1 white. The clothes were, whatever that happened there, that morning by whom? The clothes were taken that morning by whom? Well, according to you, it's Malaya's family in Malaya. Can you please tell us, Daniel, what you believe Lily and Jack were wearing? I wore both during the search, navy blue the first night and white the second day. And don't forget, he told Daniel from the Drunk Turkey show that he now believes that those were for sacred, mementos of Daniel so that she could be close to him, if not in articles, spirit, I guess in articles. Because, yeah, sure. Okay. Can sell ice to the Eskimos probably with that, or not. Because even the Eskimos wouldn't believe you. I can't tell you that because it's part of the investigation. Only the clothes they wore. Well, let's just go back to the documents. When the clothes that they wore was a Barbie top, and that they went in bed with those same clothes on, with a backpack, with a blanket. So how did the Barbie top then end up? You think Lily changed herself and you didn't realize it? Because then you would, of course, see that Barbie top, I suppose, right? But that's not what your guys' statement said. It wasn't corrected anywhere after that. Because you guys would have known that like the first day, right? But you guys gave statements multiple times. But anyways, Daniel says, it was normal days for me, but she, Malaya, had different plans, right? Because she was setting everything up to make sure that those kids got out of there. Him not being the biological father, but she wanted to create this masterpiece of art, right? Of work that would keep the searchers searching forever while these kids are hidden, possibly in canoes, possibly in shacks, possibly somewhere in the United States. Absolutely, right? So this is, he says they don't have on what we think they had on. Okay, so besides the Barbie top, what else were you guys inaccurate about? Because obviously, don't you think Malaya would have said something besides to Belinda like multiple hours later that if they didn't have those clothes on, you probably would have seen them strewn across the living room, across the bedroom, those same articles somewhere. But yet Malaya tells Belinda about the clothing, pretty much, the backpack. Jack was wearing dark clothing, and about the boots. And then he goes on to say, and this is where Daniel gets me every time. He says, I'm playing with fire, speaking out. Okay? Now, no offense, but Daniel doesn't know how to shut up if his life depended on it. I mean, there's talking, and then there's way over talking. This man cannot shut up if his life depended on it. He doesn't matter. He will come to this channel no matter how many times I bounce on his ass for his bullshit. It doesn't stop him. Most people, they would be embarrassed and they wouldn't come back to visit the channel. I don't know why Daniel keeps doing it. I think he likes it. I think he likes the strong woman attitude against him or something. I don't know. But he's playing with fire, people. Okay? He always makes comments like that. Now, there's a lot of different things here. Malaya, I'm just going to read a couple of these just because I was pulling them up, I guess. Malaya didn't want to be anywhere near Cody. She was afraid to even drive anywhere close even. Really? Don't worry. I have a guy on the inside now. I can't say anything more than that, but evidence is mounting. The only problem is it's going to be hard for someone to give up the kid's location. You know what? I think we should just, you guys, do a petition for Malaya. Malaya, tell us where the kids are. Give us the kids' location. The amount of jail time for this will be unheard of. Don't say anything about this to anyone or conversation. Okay? I'm just going to get rid of that one. What do we have on this one? What about Hayden? I'm not sure on that. I'd watch out. He used to be close to Malaya. Why no media? Standing up for Jack and Lily. Even the natives pulled back. I think he meant to say Indigenous. And they don't want involvement. Okay? Just, FYI. What's this one say? This is when he's talking to Belinda, by the way, for these ones here. CBC, right? Yeah, I just did one on set. That was over an hour long with cameraman, producers, and interviews. It comes out Tuesday, CBC National. What do you say? I think after that comes the one when the world will turn on Malaya. I think after that one comes out. Oh, yeah. Isn't that precious? Hold on. Isn't that precious, Daniel? Right? When the world turns on Malaya. All right. Yeah, I'm just taking a look at some comments quickly. Well, he has his mama. His mama's a strong personality. When I said that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, I think Justin and Earl are similar. And I think that Daniel and Janie are similar. Janie was just mad because I called her out. I don't think she can take it as an insult, but I mean, honestly, she was just offended that I was basically calling her a liar too, I guess. Well, if the shoe fits, if someone's not telling the truth and someone has to sit beside you the whole time you're talking in that private chat with over 2 hours and 37 minutes of your voice, and someone has to sit beside you bubbling away, Daniel, to make sure you're telling the story correctly, kind of says something a little bit. Why do you need someone to sit there? Anyways, what else we got here? So, it's like I said, as for Daniel, especially Daniel, it's just hard to overlook all these things that he's been doing and saying. I told investigators to polygraph her family, and they are. Um, no, Daniel. They're going to polygraph the people that they feel might have information to the case. Have you mentioned this to the police? I work with detectives. Okay, sorry, right? That's why this can't get out. If it does, then I lose my in with investigators. Okay. Okay. I don't really care about this stuff here, really. Blah blah. No, only with me because Malaya rarely ever went outside. Okay, that's in conjunction to Malaya never went out into the woods with them, and it was only Daniel and the kids, and I guess maybe perhaps Janie, according to Janie. No, I ran through the house searching every room and then ran outside the black sliding door. There's no we there, even though they use we a lot when they're talking, and especially Malaya's interview. I ran outside the back sliding door. I did everything so fast. So she said they were gone when we were both outside. Well, again, according to you, Daniel, you both went outside at the same time. So how could she tell you that they were gone? Because you said your own words on interview that you guys came out at the same time. That's your story and you're sticking to it, I guess, eh? Okay. My mom, and this is some of the older stuff, but whatever. My mom was napping and came outside because she heard me yelling that morning for the kids. Malaya was playing on her phone. Mom came outside and said Malaya had that look of worry in her eyes. Now, don't forget, 10 minutes later, approximately, Janie said she came outside. Okay? Now, Daniel says it took him 30 seconds. Hold on. Daniel said he hopped into the vehicle immediately. No, wait. Daniel said that Malaya asked him if she should call 911. And he said, no shit, Sherlock, basically. Or what the fuck do you think you should do? Then, hold on. Then it was, no, just a sec. Let me go up to the woods and check. Okay? So, again, at what point was this worry going on? Janie comes out 10 minutes after that all this other stuff is happening, right? So that would tone that time area down to more like 9:50 than 9:40. Because remember, they came outside, right? Yelling. Remember, her dog barks. I hear Lily and Jack playing on the swings or whatever, but all I hear is Jack, Jack, Jack. Like, what did you do, Jack, Jack? Come in, Jack, Jack, Jack. But I came out 10 minutes later. So that would be 9:50. So anyways, so no tears. She wasn't scared, right? The kids were gone. So again, he's saying that she had no tears. She wasn't scared. The kids were gone. Well, let's think about what Wade said, what Belinda said about Malaya, what pretty much everyone kind of said about Malaya. And of course, you're trying to give somebody the benefit of the doubt. So you're saying, well, I guess they're in shock, perhaps. And I get that, being in shock. But probably not months later, right, Wade? Probably not months later. Of still having that same attitude, like the kids didn't even seem to matter, right? Let me put it this way: if they did, Malaya has a very pathetic way of showing it. Perhaps, I mean, it's coming from Wade, their own family member. Anyways, so no tears, gone, just a look of worry. She got caught for something, right? That's their narrative, right? That's the narrative. Now, this is where you kind of got to ask yourself a little bit. If you're thinking along the lines of family involvement, you think to yourself, hold on. Okay, so he's portraying that Malaya has had family members take the kids off the property in this, what? This 10-minute time window, basically, from to 10:01. Janie comes out at 9:50, sees Malaya standing there, doesn't hear a vehicle, doesn't hear her dog bark, doesn't hear nothing, but she hears the kids on the swings playing and then doesn't hear nothing. And then there's this look of all this stuff going on. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. So here you have Daniel basically blaming that, but that's not what he put to the news, right? It's what he's been saying online. She never yelled for the kids once. Name trying to find them. This is when me and Charmaine and that are in the trying. This is when Charmaine and Daniel contacted or made contact first. When Daniel answered Charmaine back. So these are like the original messages, right? So Mom said it was odd the way she acted. Of course it was to Janie, perhaps, or not. Or it was. I don't know. Janie comes out in the middle of whatever and sees Malaya standing there. And then Daniel has this whole big story to make up to protect his own ass, let's just say. Or to protect both their asses, one of the two. And this whole weird timeline starts spiraling in different ways. But he's telling Charmaine in the messages, right, that Malaya, Cindy. Okay, well, Cindy passed her test there, Daniel. So what do you got to say about them apples? And Wade. What do you got to and Malaya? But who's the pathological liar? But at the end of the day, it's just taking this all of his words and what he has said. I'm not being negative towards Malaya, he states. I love her, but I will never lie because that's just not me. How many times have we heard you say that? 10, 15? I say the truth, even if it hurts. Well, you must be hurting a lot at this point, I'm going to assume. I'm sorry to say that, but I live in reality, and reality is what it is. Deep thoughts there, people. I only wish I could tell you the fine details surrounding Malaya and her family and the disappearance. I'll let you know that Malaya was set to stay with me and the baby, but leave with my cousin. But 5 minutes alone with her mother after the first search briefing, Malaya completely changed. Yeah, because she wanted the fuck out of Dodge. That's what happened, Danielle. Okay, get over it. She didn't want to be with you, right? Whatever other reasons, according to Malaya's words, right? That was, she's out of there. Boom, gone. Why? Ask yourself why. I don't think that the answer is too hard to come up with, because obviously you're a gem of a catch. Living in your Palisades there, doing everything. Malaya's useless. You're amazing. I don't know why she would leave you. I don't understand why anyone would think that she would leave you whatsoever. She couldn't even look at me. An hour before this, Malaya told RCMP she felt the happiest and safest with me. That's because she was lying. She was lying an hour before. Wasn't a different Malaya. It was the Malaya that was sick and tired of your bullshit. It wasn't a different Malaya. It was a different Daniel, because you're the one that said meet by the waterfall. In fact, both of you guys, to be honest. Both of you guys, I'm sure, changed. Toxic relationship is how I see this myself. Delete. This is... okay, this is... oh, husband needs me again. What husband? Okay. Well, you know what? My husband brought me my dinner. He bought me fish and chips. We don't know that, to be honest with you. As he stated, he was running through the waist deep water. Yeah, I can't remember if it was on DT show when he said he actually wasn't searching in the woods that hard, right? Hi. But you guys, what I'm gonna do is I'm you guys, I'm it's fish and chips. Okay. Whenever I go out to eat, it's fish and chips. So that comes as a more of a priority over you guys. And sorry, Jack and Lily, but I do a lot of stuff for you guys. But I'm gonna come back, okay? I'm gonna come back in a couple hours, maybe less, we'll see. And I'll do another stream, okay? Because I want to go through more of those documents and stuff. Yeah. If it was anything else, you guys, I put my dinner to the side multiple times for you guys, okay? Because Charmaine's not here, Kent's not here. I don't got any wing woman or wingman. Yeah. So, well, exactly. But anyways, I'm gonna let you guys go for now. I'll come back in just a little bit. And then again we'll just talk about it. But I think it's really important for any of us that have been following the case or even people that are newer to the case, right? Regardless, games, inconsistencies, outright lies. Why? Jack and Lily, they need our help. They need us to be a voice for them. Since really, you know, truthfully, Belinda, she's being the strongest voice for Jack and Lily. When I'm talking about a person that has no stake or has no affiliation with the disappearance of Jack and Lily. Okay. Um, that's the bottom line. We need to be their voices. Again, for anyone coming in, I did an interview. I did a Zoom interview with CBC this morning, and in a couple of weeks' time, there should be an article coming out. The main thing she wanted to talk to this channel about is the impact that we can have on cases, and what I basically to the questions I was being asked. Um, a lot of it had to do with the fact that family members can have a place to come to that don't necessarily want to go to the news. Maybe they don't even want to join a live, but they want to feel like they're part of what's going on in Facebook groups, right? With all the beautiful things that people are doing, just like you guys, right? Channels give you guys a space that you can voice your opinions, but don't take it for granted when you're in people's channels. Respect the channel rules, right? And then you can participate in any part of a conversation with a case and stuff like that. This is about Jack and Lily. So if you haven't hit that like and share, please do so, because we will continue to be a strong voice for Jack and Lily. So anyways, fish and chips out of here. Just saying. I'm only going to do my quick intro out of here, because I'll come back and we'll go over documents, and then we can play one in that next one. Okay, so hold on. Remove. We got to put up this for our last picture of Jack and Lily. You know, I don't want. I do want to say this because I don't want you to say like Drunk Turkey is kissing Daniel's butt. Okay, so he will stay on his channel. At the end of the day, you still want people talking, regardless, right? You want to listen, even if you don't believe it. You still want to listen to what is being said. Again, Daniel has a different perspective on it than I do or Charmaine does, and that's perfectly fine. So at the end of the day, whatever you feel like happened to Jack and Lily, right? Something's going to have to be pretty bold to change your mind, right? Just like mine. It's not because I'm not open, but I also know a lot of stuff, have seen a lot of stuff, and I'm still always open to different thoughts as long as they're in my space of reality. Okay. But there's coverage for Jack and Lily. There's different thoughts getting out there. And if Janie and Daniel have found a home at the Drunk Turkey show that they feel comfortable talking to Daniel, then so be it. Again, they know when to shut up. Well, no, they don't seem to really, but meaning they're adults. They can either keep talking or shut up. But it's Jack and Lily that we're here first and foremost for. So I appreciate that even those shit AI channels that are covering Jack and Lily at least is keeping Jack and Lily out there because that's what we need and that's what we want. So biggest hugs. First of all, to Belinda and Chelsea, thank you guys for always being in here and speaking up, Belinda, whenever you feel like that space. That's what's great about being in the true crime community, right? There's a place for news. There's a place for the RCMP. There's a place for the true crime community. So with that being said, I'm going to go enjoy my fish and chips and going to go, I don't know, going to watch something else. And then I'll see you guys back here. If you guys are willing, I'll see you guys back here in a couple of hours. Okay, guys? So until then, take care. Jack and Lily, guys. Thank you. Bless you. And thank you guys for everyone that I just want to do this. Christina, thank you for your super sticker. Charmaine, 33 months. Christina, 1 month. 2 months for Steffers. And Miss Dog Lover, 36 months. So thank you guys again for being part of the It's a Crime and Shame members. Thank you guys. So we'll see you in a little bit. Fish and chips, fish and chips. Do, do, do. Okay, where's my outro? Okay, bye.